Hello, parents. Hello, hello. Welcome back to the School of Business. Excuse me, to the Student Success School. Welcome back to the Student Success School. I just switched from my phone over to my laptop because my phone wasn't giving me the best quality. So I want to welcome you all back. And so we're not going to delay the time because I've already had some technical difficulties. But today, I really want to talk to you all about the area of homework. The area of homework, especially if you are a parent and your child is struggling in that area academically, and they're not completing homework. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to go a little deep because for those of you who don't know, I was a child who really struggled academically, and that's just the truth. I really struggled academically. And one of the things that was a challenge for me was homework. Okay, so classwork as well, but homework was caused a lot of trauma for me. I would literally act like I didn't have homework when I really did. And so I'm going to talk about that today because I want to share with you, parents, especially grades K through 5 parents, some of the reasons why I did, right? So, some of the reasons why I act like I didn't have homework when I really did was homework was hard for me. It was really it was a challenge. It was really a challenge for me to get done. Like, I remember there were times that homework was so hard for me to get done where I would literally be sitting um, at my kitchen table for hours. Like hours. I'm talking hours. Literally to like night. One of my students used to say nighttime until it was dark time. Until it was dark time. I would literally be sitting at the kitchen table doing homework until dark time. That's how um, that's how much of a challenge it was for me to get homework done. Like it was hard. It was super hard. And let me just make sure this is right. This thing is so this way at top. Um, let's see here. Hopefully it works. It was super hard. One of the other things that made me not get homework done or not want to do homework, really tell my parents that I didn't even have homework was because it would get frustrating for me. It would. And so when the homework was challenging, it literally became frustrating to the point where I didn't want to do it. Um, I remember there were times that I would cry because I didn't know how to do it, and I was just tired of sitting at the table with my dad, and him drilling those questions and asking me 1,000 times, and it still wasn't clicking for me. Um, I remember, like, my parents would just ask me, like, "Didn't you learn this at school?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I just don't remember how to do it, or it just wasn't clicking. It just became hard." And it was a challenge. It was a challenge, and sometimes when I wouldn't get it done, my parents would literally wake me up, wake me up at like. So let's say if I was sitting at the table for like hours, my parents would get so frustrated. They're like, you know what? Go to bed, because in the morning we're gonna wake you up and you're gonna do it again. And I would have to get up at like 5 a.m. to do my homework before school. And the truth was, I had a clearer head to try to get it done, but it was still getting up at 5 a.m. when I should still probably be asleep, to get my homework done. And so it was a lot, you know, and it would get to a point that doing homework was so painful for me that I would just try to avoid it. I would literally avoid it. And so I would tell my parents that I didn't have homework when I would really did sometimes. Especially if it was something that I felt like I could just guess through. Especially if it was something I felt like I could just guess through. And I would literally act like sometimes, I didn't have homework. When my parents would ask me, I'll tell them no. And if they believed me, right, I knew that they wouldn't check my folder. So like certain time at certain points, right, I knew that my parents were like, "You have any homework?" And I say no. It was something that I just felt like I can guess through, or my teacher wouldn't check. So there were like certain homework assignments you would just know your teacher was gonna check if she was gonna grade, right? But if there was homework that I knew that didn't have a lot of weight, maybe, or I can get away with failing this, I would tell my parents no because I didn't want to have to sit there. But honestly, it took some time, right, for me to stop that crazy behavior. It did. It took me some time. I'm not saying it's right, but I want you to think about your child, right? Have you experienced any of that? And if you have, I want to share with you the way that I went from really lying, if we're going to be honest, about me and my homework. Um, if we are going to be honest about it, what made me transition from not telling them the truth to literally getting my homework done and then wanting to get my homework done was when I truly um, became interested in my homework. That's what I started to have a change, is when I became interested in homework. And so I want to drop that there for you all because I'm sure that's going to help your child too. Go from saying they don't have homework to completing their homework is when they find interest in those assignments. And so I want you to keep that in mind as we go through this remainder of the class. But I want to share with you also the issue, though, with me acting like I didn't have homework when I really did. There were several issues. One of the things that hurt me when I was really telling my parents, I didn't have any homework, or I was acting like I didn't have any homework, or I didn't even want to do it, was that acting like I didn't have homework when I did, it never taught me the skills I needed to learn in class. And so that was an issue. It never taught me the skills that I needed to know in the classroom. And so if your child is like me, right, and they're not getting their homework done, they're not doing it, the truth is, parents, they're not getting the real skill that they need, right, to learn what it is that the teacher's teaching, what they need to know in order to improve and go to the next grade. They're not learning. And so that's something I had to really, you know, now, with me changing and evolving and now being a business owner and teaching other parents how to do this, that was something that really, really stood out to me when I examined myself. I didn't learn the skill. I never learned the skill. Another thing that really was a big issue was that me acting like I didn't have homework when I did, it showed that I didn't know how, to do the work. Because had I known how to do it, I would have done the work. It would have been easy, so I would have got it done. It's so interesting. I was talking to my little cousin. For those of you who don't know, I recently had a death in my family. I lost a very close loved one, and I just got back in town from the homegoing services. It was 2 services, and I got to spend a lot of time with family. It was emotional. But my uncle was 86 years old, so he's lived a long life. But me and one of my cousins, his granddaughter, were talking, and she was talking about how like math is more easier for her, and so it's just like easy to get it done. And we were literally at dinner, and she was doing homework, and it made me think, like, when something is easy or you know how to do it, you're gonna do it. regardless. But the opposite for me is that it showed me acting like I didn't have homework, showed that I didn't even know how to do the work. And so that's an issue. And that's the same for your child as well. If they're acting like they don't have homework, it's more than likely they don't even know how to do the work. And it's showing you, that should be proof that they don't even know what they're doing. And so that's something I want you to consider. Another thing that made me examine myself was that acting like I didn't have homework, it didn't help me understand what I needed to learn before I can move on to the next lesson. And so, for those of you who know anything about education, just as a teacher, I mean, as a parent, I want to inform you like there are certain lessons that build upon each other. I talked about this years ago with you all, the difference between foundational and fundamental skills, the difference between foundation and fundamental skills, the difference between foundational and fundamental skills. There is a difference between foundational and fundamental skills. There's a difference between foundational and fundamental skills. And the reason I'm saying that is because when you have a foundational skill, it's important that you learn it. Like you have to learn it in order, right? That's the foundation in order to get the fundamentals. And one of the things for me is that I wasn't learning. It's the mailman about to come. I wasn't learning the fundamental skills. And so not learning the fundamental skills hurt me when it came to learning the foundation. So I could never truly be successful 100% because I didn't have everything that I needed for a certain amount of success. And so that's something I want you all to think about when it comes to your children, right? Not doing their homework, right? Or saying they don't have homework, and then it's really not helping because literally they might be not working on that fundamental skill that they need in order to continue to build a foundation, and that foundation leads upon. And so, for example, for me with math, right, I was not the best at math, but had I not got addition and understood that, I wouldn't understand multiplication. And then when you look at multiplication, as you get older, it becomes, 2-digit numbers, 3-digit numbers, 4-digit numbers, right? 5-digit multiplication. And if you don't have addition down pat, multiplication is going to be hard. And if you don't have the basic, right, 2 times 2, those 10 multiplication factors or whatever they call it, if you don't have the basics, right, 2 times 2, 4 times, 4 times 4 is 8, all of that, or is it 16? 16. If you don't have that, then it's going to be challenging. It is going to be challenging for you to try to multiply, higher numbers. And so that's and I pray that makes sense. And so for me, what finally made that difference though is when I found an interest in my homework. That's what truly made a change for me academically, going from a student who wasn't doing homework, telling my parents when I could get away with it that I didn't have it, going from just crying, sitting at the kitchen table trying to get it done because it was hard, it was difficult. I didn't know how to do it. I hadn't learned those fundamental skills. But what really helped me, it took a lot of time, but what helped me is when I found that interest in doing homework. And when I found that interest, it drove me even when the challenge of doing certain lessons or learning certain skills came about. I still had that interest. And so that's my spiel for that, especially if your child isn't doing homework and struggling with homework too. Okay. And so there are benefits. There are benefits, to finding that interest in education. One of the things when you find that interest in that homework, right, and learning, it really makes you want to do it. Like I said, it makes you want to get the homework done. It makes you want to show that you know what you're doing. Um, Another benefit is that you'll try again, like I said, even when it's challenging, you'll do your best. Another thing that I find that is really amazing is that it makes you more engaged um, about the lesson when you find that interest for homework, like for that assignment, for that homework. Like, it makes you more engaged. It makes you want to go the extra mile, you know. And when you are engaged, right, and you're doing it even when it's hard, it truly increases, right, your grades. And so when you find that interest, your grade, the sum to that is your grades improve, so you get a higher GPA, right? Your progress report grades go up. Mine did. My report card grades go up, and so it's benefits for truly finding, helping your child find their interest in homework. Okay, and so that's something I want to share with you as well. And I'm telling you, it makes a difference, because when you're interested in stuff, you will see, when your child is interested, you will see them turn into almost a whole different person, like literally. I remember, like, for me, one of the things that I found interest in was, like, I love picture graphs and bar graphs. Like, I was like the queen of picture graphs and bar graphs. And I don't know what about a picture graph and what about a bar graph, especially during that age, that time. I love the bar graph because I could just like use my own colors. Like, I could, that was me. I was the one who used their different colors, making bar graphs, and really, and that was math, something that I was not good in. But one of the things that, for some weird reason, I just love graphs, and tying numbers into in there, making it more plain, right? Making it a visual. And see, that's why it's important to really help your child find that interest. Because for me, I'm a visual learner, I'm an auditory learner. And so if I could see it and say it, baby, I'm on it. And so for me, painting that visual helped. And so that's why it's important too to find, help your child find that interest, because it might be challenging for them in certain areas in homework. It might be challenging for them to do certain skills. But if they can find an interest in even in the hard thing, it'll make them work. And finding interest in the hard thing, it truly helps your child advance in certain areas that they wouldn't normally advance in had they not had the interest. And so I'm telling you, you know, as someone who didn't do their best at all when it came to homework, I would literally act like I didn't have homework when I did. And some of that caused me, you know, not to learn the skills that I needed. I didn't show that I knew what I was doing, knew how to do the work, because I didn't know how, right? So I wasn't even able to prove that I was growing. And then another thing, I didn't have the fundamental skills when I wasn't doing the homework. I wasn't even learning the fundamental skills to learn the foundational skills. But where I began to make some progress was when I found interest in homework. When I found interest in homework. And when I did that, I truly began to complete it. I was doing my work even when it was hard, right? I was more engaged. And then overall, my GPA, my grades, my progress reports truly changed. And I was able to grow, right, academically and achieve academic success. And so, if you're a parent, right, and your child is not getting homework done, they're not getting homework done. They're telling you they don't have homework when they really, really do. Maybe you're getting notes from your child teacher like, yo, your child hasn't turned their homework in weeks. If that is where your child is in their between the grades of K through 5, there's help for you. Don't let your child fail academically, all right? You can help your child find interest in homework so that they can begin to achieve academically, not just in school, but at home with you. And so, if you want help with that, I am here. I am here. I have time for you. I will make time for you to help you, right? Help your child find interest in homework. Like, that's what I do. It's been my experience, and this is what I love. I love to do it, and God has made me come back over here to the Student Success School to help you. All right. And so take advantage of the help that you have. And I'm here. All right. And if you want to chat, we can talk about where your child is right now, like what's standing in their way from achieving academically, what's stopping you from helping them. We can talk about that tonight. I have a session available tonight. I don't have a lot of sessions. At most, I will have one, honestly. I don't have a lot of time because I do serve female educators as well. And so I don't have a lot of time, but for you, I will make time. And so take advantage of it. I have a session available for you tonight if you want it. And we can get on the phone and chat and really see what we can do together to help your child. All right. And so I'll put the link in the comment section below for you to sign up for a session with me. If you have any questions, feel free. If it's about homework or anything else when it comes to your child's academic success, drop it in the comment section below. Until we see each other again, I'll be active during this week and in the group here. And if you need me, you know where to find me. Inbox me, comment below. All right. And if you want to talk to me tonight, I'm going to put the link here. Book your session now, and we will talk soon. Bye bye.